Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this special episode of Westmarch Workshop. As you can probably tell, we didn't do a live show this week, and we have a special guest joining us. Fortunately, Steven and Archon were not able to go through and make it due to some real life commitments, but we decided that we wanted to go through and have a show this week regardless. So we were given the great opportunity to go and interview Jaetch, who is a premier member in the community here. So go ahead and say hello.
What's up, everyone?
Yeah, and so go ahead, tell us a little bit about yourself for some of our listeners that might not have heard you before.
All right. My name is Jaetch, and I'm one of the community MVPs on Blizzard's official forums for D3. And there's nothing special about being an MVP. All you do is you get some green text, and that's about it. No one really takes you seriously.
Oh no, come on now.
But no, seriously, all the green does is just make you mad. That's all it is. Because just kidding. But
You know,
anyway, I'm mostly just in the Wizard community. Um, Blizzard decided to put the community MVP on me because I was pretty active in the global community, not just for Wizards.
mhm.
But at the core, I played a Wizard since day one of D3, so you can usually find me hanging out in the Wizard official forum.
So there you go. If you want to hear more about Jake, all you have to do is go through and hop by the official Wizard forums, and you'll be able to find his lovely green text splattered all over the place.
Yeah, so lately I've been like just taking it easy, so I haven't been posting as much as I normally would. That because I've been really busy at work lately. So usually when I post, I'm at work.
Oh,
So yeah,
so,
so nowadays I'm really busy, so I don't get to post all that much.
so you literally do get paid to post. See,
Oh,
there you
I
go.
wish.
Ah.
I wish. Yeah, I wish.
uh,
Fortunately, that's not true. I wish though.
Uh-huh. I believe that is a wish that all of us have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If we could all just get paid in order to talk and write about Diablo or just video games in general.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. I guess to start things off, we're going to kind of have a somewhat regular beginning here for the show, and we're going to cover some of the news topics for this week. Luckily, or unluckily, I guess, there
I
really
would say
hasn't.
unlucky. Right.
Unluckily, yeah, there just hasn't been a lot to talk about lately. The biggest thing actually is some hot fixes for the consoles, and the big one is that they pushed a enchanting hot fix, but then they immediately pulled it back, which was kind of interesting. Did you see that?
I haven't been paying as much attention to the console as I would like to because I don't have the console
Hmm.
game because PC's keeping me busy enough as it is. But I try to keep in touch whenever I can.
Okay. Well, it was something that didn't really get added in with their 2.1 patch, but it reduced the materials that were needed for crafting amulets and rings, and like reducing the gem requirement from flawless imperial to just imperial.
Hmm.
They also added in some things for parental controls, and apparently this led to other bugs inside the system, and people were losing their legendary gem progress. So you would all
That
of a
is
sudden,
really strange.
yeah, it's one of those ones. It's just we've tweaked this little thing, and now you lose your legendary gem. So
Yeah, no good.
it's no good at all. But they've gone through and they've actually pulled the hotfix and they reverted it across all of the consoles. So if you did the update just a few days ago, please make sure that you go and rerun, that you connect your console to the internet and get the newest update, which will basically just roll it back.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you can find you'll lose out some legendary gems. You might also. Uh, some people have been saying that they've lost legendary items or that all the stats in their items have been removed, but from what I've seen some from the blue posters is that it's just a display bug. Restarting your game will have those stats come back. So if this is something that's affected you, don't freak out. Just restart your game. You should be fine.
All
Moving on.
will be well with the world.
Yeah, all
I
will be right.
Can you imagine if something happened that like that to the PC game? What would happen?
I can not only imagine. I'm sure we'll have some discussion for this next week when Leviathan gets back. Because when you play hardcore, you do lose your gems, and it's
Oh
not
yeah.
because of a bug. I guess spoilers. for that one. I'll let Leviathan talk more about that next week when he joins the show. Uh, moving on from there, we have some little talks of such as the I think it was on the European forums. Veneris was just going and reiterating that the devs have future plans for gyms. Some people were just complaining that there wasn't a lot that you can do with gyms, not legendary gyms, but just regular gyms, and that the devs have some ideas of that they want to use those more in the game.
Yep, I believe Tivolier posted about it before, and all he did was tease everybody by saying we can't talk about it right now. But
Hmm.
I'm assuming they have something on the to-do list already. They just can't really share it right now.
Yeah, and this kind of ties in with our next news point here, but do you expect to hear anything like that at BlizzCon?
I don't expect anything too major. I mean, there's always a chance, but I'm leaning 50-50 that it's going to be something completely mind-blowing that will just catch everybody by surprise. And the other side is just basically talking about when season's going to close because everybody's wondering when season one is going to close.
Hmm.
And season two, when is it going to start? And if there's anything new that's going to be introduced with season two. And there are probably some changes to Greater Rifts too, because that's still a work in progress in terms of balancing it.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's going to be a major focus of some of our questions coming up here soon.
Hmm.
Is greater rifts. That is a topic that is near and dear to everybody.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I'm really looking forward to BlizzCon, even though we only have two panels. I do actually expect them to talk about 2.2 and the potentially adding in new class sets, because that's been a topic they've been talking about since prior to launch.
Right.
Uh, you
I've
know.
actually had to deal with that a lot on the Wizard forum because
Mhm.
right now, if people don't know, the basically the main Wizard build right now involves the Firebird six-piece set. So everyone's comparing basically every single build that the class comes up with to the Firebird six-piece set, and if anything doesn't come quite nearly up to par, it's no good. So a lot of people are wondering if there's going to be changes to the other skills and other set items just to bring it up to par with Firebird.
Mhm.
And all I can tell people is just, you got to wait it out. You can't just expect something like this to happen, overnight. So just got to wait and see.
Yeah, that's a problem. My favorite class, Demon Hunter, that's something that we face as well because
But yeah,
everything is M6 or bust.
M6 or bust, seriously. Everyone
Hmm.
makes a joke that what does Demon Hunter have when you take away the Marauder set? Crickets chirping.
Yeah, cricket chirping, indeed. Where's the sound effect board? I need one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I don't know how does we're getting a little bit off topic here with the news, but how does it compare with Wizards? Because in Demon Hunters there actually is a quite a there is a variety of builds. They're all are based off of Marauders 6,
Mhm.
but there is a decent variety. You have a bunch of different builds, whether you want to use a cold build or a fire. Then you have rocket build. Then at the very high end, you have the ball lightning builds. Is there any variety within that Firebird's wizard build?
There is. Especially at first when people were still getting into the Firebird six piece, people were
Hmm.
using different pieces of gear like Serpent Sparker for the Hydras or Sunkeepers with the Firebird offhand or a Furnace. Some people were running Cinder Code, some people were running Mage Fist, Ring of Royal Grandeur, Unity, SOJ. So like there are a lot of gear diversity involved with
Hmm.
it as long as the six pieces are incorporated into it. Some people focused on Hydras, some people focused on Meteors. Lately on the Wizard Forum, there's been a new discussion about how to run wizards in a group because right now it's all demon hunters, witch doctors, right?
Hmm.
So they're trying to squeeze wizards in there, but what we found out is no matter how well geared the wizard is, no matter how optimal their gear set is, if it's 100% perfect, it's still not going to come close to the best geared demon hunters. It's just not feasible because we calculated that being incredibly generous
Hmm.
with wizards with Firebird, they can push out probably 2 billion EDPS per
Hmm.
second. That's like half of what the best geared demon hunters can do.
Yeah, just you have that force multiplier of being able to drop the 5 sentries, and you're
Right?
doing 5 times the amount of damage.
And I heard you were looking for taskers, right? That's
Yeah,
upsetting because
yeah.
I do have trifecta 49%
Don't
taskers
even.
on my
No, don't even
on
say it.
my demon hunter.
That's
S-
just that
so
is
I'm
just one
working on
thing.
it.
Yeah, that's just one thing in like the Blizz Pro clan is they just will see me and they'll know that I'm at Kadala because Marauder's gloves will pop up 3 times.
Yeah, I've been trying to work on my Hell Trapper Demon Hunter, so that magical 4.15 something breakpoint, right?
Hmm.
It's too difficult.
It is a
So,
lofty goal. Yeah, I'm just trying to get taskers, let alone I've not even seen a Hell Trapper or Calamity yet. I'm lucky enough that I have a Kriter shot, so
you're
I'm
doing this on hardcore too, right? So that's even,
yes.
yeah,
It,
that's
it's risky. Yeah, it's
yeah,
risky. I knock on wood, I've not lost my Demon Hunter yet this season.
gotta be careful
So
with that.
definitely there. I was playing with the clan the other night, and I never procced awareness, but there was just some
You
things I
don't
wasn't.
want to. You
Yeah,
don't want
there was
to.
so many times I was just going through and chatting with people as opposed to normally when it's just Leviathan and I were in Skype, and so having to stop and chat in that rogue little mortar shot goes through and hits me, and then I'm down to 10% HP because I wasn't paying attention. Like, oh crap, I need to. And then it just yeah,
Go back
it's
to town,
yeah,
relax a little bit, then go back.
just shake it off, just shake it off, walk it off. But before we go too far off topic, speaking of hardcore, uh, lovely segue. There was the Twitch live stream last week. Did you catch that at all?
I could not because, well, I couldn't catch it live because
Hmm.
I was at work. So, but I caught bits and pieces of it afterwards, especially all the was it the cheat desk going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, poor poor Don. Poor Don. It seemed like every 5 minutes he was having to run away from battle. Um, but yeah, that was actually all the prior player way or formerly Theorycraft Thursdays. We normally had some insights into what they were planning on doing in terms of development or balance changes in the coming patches or 2.1. This one, it seemed it was a lot more casual. I don't know if that was the inclusion of
Dead
a dead
mouse.
mouse, being there and just the amount of energy that that guy had and, the passion that he has for the game. He might not be completely up to date on all the newest stuff like, we might be or our listeners might be, but just, it was awesome seeing someone, that have that much energy into the game and just listening to them all have fun playing. And I think
Yeah.
we finally, after months and months of trying, we finally have sold Nevelistus on hardcore. She is
Oh,
addicted now after that
it is.
stream.
There's a certain thrill to hardcore that can't be found anywhere else for
Hmm.
sure.
Definitely, but yeah, so not really anything new came out. I don't know if that was because of just the overall tone of the stream, or if they're trying to clamp down on everything until BlizzCon, which probably is just going to be a bunch of talk about 2.2, maybe a new class feature, or
I
not
think
class
they're
feature.
trying to just calm everything down,
Hmm.
prepare for BlizzCon. That's what I think. I think there's a lot they want to talk about. It's just not quite there yet.
Yeah, I really expect the whole first panel to be talking about 2.2. That they have something to announce. They've got some new game feature that they want to add in, or some radical change, maybe to greater rifts that they're going to be implementing.
I'm down for some radical changes.
Yeah,
Really am.
definitely makes things interesting.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then the only other thing I guess about BlizzCon that we just had recently is Metallica.
Oh yeah.
Uh huh.
Compared to last year's what is it, Blink 182,
Yeah.
huge
Jesus.
difference.
Yeah. I didn't even, I completely forgot who even played last year. The last one I remember was Foo Fighters. It was just like, wow, Blink
That
182.
was the
That
one
was
before that, right? I believe.
yeah, that was
Right.
2011.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that'll be interesting. That'll definitely be interesting for all the metalheads out there. Yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Like we were saying earlier, not a
Well,
lot of news. Yep, go
I
ahead.
mean, before you want to go, just before you even ask, I
Hmm.
can't go to BlizzCon this year.
Ah,
No.
no.
Yeah, my friend's wedding is actually on the exact same day, and
They'll understand.
well, yeah, but like it sucks, like this is a virtual ticket, so
Hmm. All right. That
yeah,
sucks.
it
Yeah,
does.
I was kind of hoping that you'd be there. I was looking forward to meeting you again.
I was actually really tempted to just say, you know what, I will fly out to Anaheim on the 6th so I can hang out with people. And
Hmm.
then on the 7th, I will go through it and fly back on the same night. Right, and I'll be at BlizzCon in a tux, so I don't have to change.
Yeah, there you go.
and then I'll just run out of the plane, grab a taxi, and go. But I can't.
Hmm.
No, I just can't. I was really
Uh,
just divided on it. But it's friends, good friends. So
hmm.
I've been friends for like 10 odd years already, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember anymore.
Yeah, it always comes down to the tough decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, we hope that you have fun that weekend nonetheless.
Yeah, plenty of booze. So
Yeah,
I'll just
it'll be like you're spending the night at the Hilton.
yeah, I'll just drown away my sorrows that way. I'm just
There you
kidding.
go.
Yeah.
We will raise a glass in your
Ah,
honor.
right.
Uh, but I guess moving on from there, I guess let's get into the meat and potatoes of it. You've already introduced your question or introduced yourself. Introduced the question. Yes, I am a tour de force here solo. Um, so I guess one of the big things that really stands out um, to me about you is the fact that you don't play seasons.
I actually have a seasons character.
Hmm.
It's Paragon like 100, 101 or something like that right now.
Hmm.
But the thing with seasons is I came in my first goal for seasons was just to grab the transmog because I take transmog very seriously. So I hit 70 and the reason why I have not put that much effort into seasons is because there's a lot for me to do in non-season right now. Like
Hmm.
my goal is to always get my character to like tip top shape before I do something else.
Hmm.
And also because season one for sure, like going in, it's going to be experimental. Like it's no one knows exactly
Hmm.
what's going to happen. Like you saw all the exploits and bugs that are right in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Like I saw it coming a mile away. I just didn't know what kind of bugs was going to happen. So I didn't want to be involved with something that's going to be quote unquote illegitimate, especially
Hmm.
for people who are trying to like chase certain leaderboards or achievement rewards.
Hmm.
So I don't want to get involved in any of that. So right now for seasons, I just have my character sitting there, and if no one's opt to play, if everyone has a full group, I'll play solo for seasons, and that's basically how I got to Paragon 100 with the seasons
Uh,
character. Just slowly crawled my way through.
okay. All right. That is pretty interesting. I know that there haven't been that many, but there are some people that are really passionate about not playing seasons because they want to continue to focus on their main character.
Right.
Everything.
That's kind of where I'm at right now. Except I'm okay with playing seasons. I can play seasons when I'm feeling up for it. But again, yeah, my
Mhm.
goal is right now is just to min max my non-season characters first.
Well, I guess the one follow-up question for that is what will make you think that you're finished? At what point are you going to be happy with the progress of your character to say, okay, I can start something new?
Okay, like for my main wizard, I have
Hmm.
a bunch of wizards, but for my main one that I do, solo farming or greater rift chasing,
Hmm.
that one's pretty much done. There's like very minor changes I can make to it that can make it a little better, but chances that those things will drop for me, like a better furnace or like a better unity, like it's like slim to none. Like if it
Hmm.
ever happens, like great, but I'm probably not going to, spend my next 4 hours every night to like try to get that one item. It's not going to happen. I mean, I'll get it eventually, but my wizard's pretty much set. Like I'm okay with it. But then there's my M6 Demon Hunter that I'm
Hmm.
working on, and there's my Furious Charge Barb that I'm working
Hmm.
on. My Samuko Monk that I want to work on too. There's my fake CM wizard from Manila that I'm trying to work on too. Like I'm trying to build that character up, and it's still
Hmm.
a work in progress. So there's a lot left for me to play. So I mean, if I get into seasons, that's probably going to be I don't know a few 6 months down the line, maybe I'll probably get into it
Hmm.
because there's a lot of stuff for me to do for non-season.
Gotcha. Um, and you've taken like the greater rifts pretty seriously, and it's been something that you've talked about on not just the wizard forums but a lot of other places. And,
Yeah.
like just like you mentioned, you didn't want to be a part of the seasons because it seems like it's kind of an experiment, kind of like almost like beta testing. What are your thoughts on how seasons have turned out, or I guess I should say how greater rifts have turned out? One of the other big things that came in 2.1.
Yeah, Greater Rifts, admittedly I didn't do too much with that in PTR. I only played it for a few times just to get a feel for it, for what it's going to be like. But once 2.1 went live, I jumped straight into Greater Rifts to test the water to see how well I would do. And I was going about, one play session, like I'll just binge out for like 10 attempts, like every
Hmm.
each weekend I'll just do like 10 attempts to see how far I can go.
Hmm.
And I was jumping up a level, 38, 39, 40 like each week, and until discovered that a lot of people have been exploiting like the top ranks, and you don't know who's exploiting it.
Hmm.
But the fact that people do that, it bothers me. I mean, I know people will say, don't let it bother you if you're just gonna, test yourself out. Who cares what other people are doing? But you know, if there's going to be any kind of competition in the game, just to give the game a different feel, like more life into it, you got to have that competition. And if people cheat, it kind of makes the competition worthless.
Hmm.
If you're going to play it the right way, you're not gaining anything out of it because people are just going to place higher than you anyway.
Yeah, it
So
kind of detracts from it.
it's discouraging. So that's why I ended up taking a short break from Greater Risk because I didn't just wasn't feeling it
Hmm.
after that. And the exploits are still going on, so I know that as a fact.
Hmm. And it's kind of interesting that you said that it's like you'd put like 10 attempts, or like one play session into just trying to push yourself as hard. How did you juggle your time between, experimenting with different builds versus farming versus actually, pushing for, as high as you could go?
Well, the thing with experimenting with different builds right now for, in terms of ROS, like you need to get the gear, right? You have to find the gear pieces first.
Hmm.
So without the auction house from vanilla, it's actually a lot tougher to try out different builds, but it makes the game a lot more fun to play, right? Because you have to farm normally, like T6, T5, whatever difficulty you're farming, and you got to do your bounties for your Rift key frag. So it makes the game more complete. It's like a little circle, right? You start with your bounties, you get your items and your key frags, you go to your rifts, and you just you loop back and forth, and then whatever you find during the play session, that's what you use to change up your build, whatnot. It's basic and it works. So
Hmm.
throughout the week, after work, I'll play 2, 3 hours or whatever, how much time I have before I had to prepare for the next day. So
Hmm.
that's when I'll play with my clanmates, and I'll just binge out T6 like nonstop and collect my wares that way. And
Hmm.
then when the weekend comes over, I'll have all my trial keys ready, and if I don't have any rift keys saved up, I'll do some trials and then I'll jump straight into the greater rifts.
Okay, cool. So, you kind of have that segmented play. Well, I only have a little bit of time to play during the weekdays, so let me focus on, farming or getting keys. So when you actually have more time to dedicate to it, that's when you hit it.
Right, exactly. It's a routine because a
Hmm.
lot of people that I know, they either run out of trial keys or they run out of rift keys or they run out of actual greater rift keys, so they have to do trials. For me, it's like I throughout the week I do some bounties, I collect my 100 rift key fragments. That'll
Hmm.
last me like a month or like half a month,
Hmm.
and another day I'll just keep going at T6 trying to collect my wares, get my mats up, and then another day I'll probably spend like 2 hours with my clanmates just cranking out greater rift keys. And then so after a week's done, I have my rift key fragments, I have my mats, I have the loot I collected over the week, and I have my greater rift keys. So on the weekend I could just do whatever I want.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a pretty good way of doing it. When you have the free time, you have the free time to do what you want.
All you need is even if you can dedicate just 3 hours a week to play, an hour is all you need to get a bunch of bounties done to prepare you for like the next 2 weeks. So
Hmm.
not too much time required.
Yeah, in kind of your race for the top. I know just today you posted that you made it back into the top 10 for the solo wizard clears and greater rifts.
This is actually the first time I actually reached the top 10. I
Oh,
was actually
really?
stuck in the top 20 for like the longest time. And then every single time I made a attempt, right? So
Hmm.
I jumped a level and, I'm satisfied. That I'm done for the weekend. I can do something else now because I hit my goal. And then throughout the next week, I'll get bumped down a spot, bumped down 2 spots, bumped down three
Hmm.
spots. And then I think the highest I ever placed was like 12th or like 11th. Right? It was
Hmm.
really close. And then I stopped playing for a bit and then I got bumped down all the way to like 36, something like
Oh,
that.
wow.
So then today, for some strange reason, I don't know why, I just had the feelings like, you know what, I'll play a few greater risks with my wizard, and then I got a 42 clear, so that'll place me on the 6th spot. So I'm happy. That'll probably keep me there for a little while.
Yeah. Is there anything that took you by surprise while you were going through and kind of like climbing the leaderboards and like competing in order to try and get up there? Like like some sort of new build that came out that kind of had a surge for wizards or anything like that, along the way since 2.1 launched?
Well, 2.1 launched. People generally had an idea of what's going to be the best way to play a wizard for if you're going to chase the leaderboards.
Hmm.
Um, it's going to be Blizzard, right? Apocalypse Blizzard, because
Hmm.
those are the types of skills you kind of just drop and you leave. Kind of like what M6 Demon Hunters do. They just drop their sentries and they spend the rest of the time avoiding damage.
Hmm.
So the wizard will basically drop their Hydra, they'll drop the Blizzard, they'll cast Black Hole to mop up all the mobs, and they'll just run in circles. So while the
Hmm.
enemies die. So it's the same concept. You just run and gun. That's what people call it. And that's pretty much the reason why demon hunters and wizards are placing consistently higher than the other classes.
Hmm.
You know, barring excluding barbs because barbs are they're a strange case. But for
Yeah.
demon hunters and wizards, they're pretty consistent in what they can do because they can play in such a way. They can just leave combat and have things die behind them.
Yeah, because
So
that was actually one of the things like on the hardcore seasonal leaderboards right now, wizards are pretty neck and neck with demon hunters. And it's like so that really doesn't come as a surprise to you, given the way that wizards are playing right now.
not at all. Even if it's even for non-seasons right now, a lot of people who they've accumulated gear for a much longer time than season
Hmm.
characters, right? So they're a lot more optimized. And right now, demon hunters are nearing their peak. They're
Hmm.
peaking out, so you pretty much get the idea that barring extreme RNG, probably 46, 47, high 40s is pretty much what's going to be consistently completed
Hmm.
once everyone gets up to the highest level. And it is possible for Wizards to get to 46, 47 as well, because I believe in the Asia server, someone's completed 45 or 46 already. So
Hmm.
it's pretty much just going to be around that area where everyone, well, not everyone, demon hunters and wizards are going to be capping out.
Hmm.
It is easier for demon hunters to take care of business because of their style. So
Hmm.
that's why you see in the top 1000, there's a lot more 40s for demon hunters than there are for wizards.
Yeah, because not only do they have the higher DPS output from the run and gun by being able to drop the sentries,
Yep.
once your gear is at a certain level, you can kind of maintain um, smoke screen permanently.
Yeah, that's another way to play it too. And I tried that build, the lightning one. Oh, I can't do
Mhm.
it. I just can't do it for solo. This is too much. I can't.
Uh-huh. Um, outside of wizards and demon hunters, which are kind of like sitting at the top of the mountain right now, how do you view class balance? For the rest of them, how do they compare? How do you think that they, are kind of living up to their potential?
Well, Demon Hunters and Wizards, no surprise. Crusaders are up there, and I do like where Crusaders are right now. They're kind of like the hybrid class, right? They can go melee, they can also go range, which is really cool. And so they're pretty much right behind Wizards, I would think, in terms of um, damage output and consistency.
Hmm.
Right behind them will probably be Witch Doctors and Barbarians. The Barbarian, even if they place higher than all the classes right now, it's gimmicky because they crush all the content in the Rift until they get to the Rift Guardian, right? So
Hmm.
it's strange. I mean, they're a strange case. They have the huge they're like probably the strongest class out of all of them to clear general mobs, but they
Hmm.
probably have one of the weakest possible single target DPS for that build. So it's balanced in a way. So they're kind of I would place them right behind Wizards and Crusaders also because of that weakness for single targets.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, the Crusaders, Wizards, and Demon Hunters they can do pretty well against any kind of situation. And poor monks all the way in the bottom. I
Yeah.
uh, I mean I'm glad that they have some Wuko. The Sun Wuko thing is a very very good change. That's why I'm kind of building my monk up that way because it's reminiscent of the vanilla monk, cookie cutter punch monk. You just
Hmm.
punch, 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 and I love it. I mean, a lot of people love that playstyle, so it's good seeing that come back. Um, but monks need a lot of help. I mean, I don't know, but they need a lot of help because they've recently gotten booted out of party play too. You know about that?
Yeah. Uh,
The meta game for 4-man teams.
I've heard about it briefly that they're getting dropped, and I've been seeing more so about having the witch doctors included it instead of monks, but
Oh
I
no,
haven't seen the specifics on it.
yeah, so beforehand, in 4-player groups, the quote unquote metagame for
Hmm.
4-man groups were two Mem6 Demon Hunters,
Hmm.
a permanent fear doc with Ticlandian's Visage
Hmm.
that roots and fears everything in place. So it's basically a permalock spec. And then you have the monk pulling everything into the witch doctor. So everything is stuck in one spot, not moving, while the Demon Hunters DPS them all down.
Hmm.
Now that was how most people, you know, did 4-man teams.
Hmm.
But now people are running Crusaders instead of monks because of all the
Oh.
DPS boosts that the Crusader provides,
Hmm.
right? Shield glare, critical, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So now they're running that because in order to place higher and greater rifts, the problem isn't survivability because everyone's going to get one shot anyway, right? So
Yeah,
everyone's pushing for more DPS, and that's where the Crusader comes in.
yeah, because they actually are a pretty decent powerhouse just from everything that they have, open to them. And
Yeah.
it is disgusting because not only are they going through and providing all those buffs, they're doing, a pretty significant amount of damage themselves at the same time.
I think the style right now is to run the 0 DPS Witch Doctor that fears everything and
Hmm.
keeps him stuck, and a 0 DPS Crusader that's all toughness and
Hmm.
all debuffs for enemies.
Yeah, impressive.
The Crusader also has Condemn, right? So that's
Yeah,
the pull move right there. So there goes the monk out of a job.
yep. I've seen people that have been trying to do, the pull builds with um, demon hunters and the bow that makes it so that way the bolas, when it explodes, it has a chance of sucking all the enemies in.
Mm, yeah,
So that's poor monks.
four
Poor
monks.
monks. Yeah,
Yep.
this was supposed to be their patch. This was supposed to be their
Ah,
reckoning, and
yeah, no, it's so sad.
yeah, well, there's alweys 2.2. We're looking forward to the
So yeah,
future.
it's like finally 2.1. Now they gotta wait till the next patch. Oh boy.
Uh-huh.
Oh
And
boy.
then in 2.2, there's always 2.3.
Yep.
There's the next expansion.
Yep, there's the next expansion. It'll be the Reaper of.
Yeah,
This one's the Reaper of Demon Hunters or something like that.
yeah.
Demon. This is the
Uh,
Demon Hunter game.
all demon hunters all the time. It's Demon Hunter 3.
Yep.
Um, let me see. And you touched on it a little bit, and we discussed a little bit more. But keeping on the discussion of greater rifts and their balancing, you recently were talking about greater rifts, and not just greater rifts, but like the amount of RNG and the amount of exploits that are being used in them, and kind of took a break from them and kind of stepped back from greater rifts. Would you like to kind of summarize what your standpoint was on it, and maybe give some thoughts on feedback that you've heard, or if your opinion has developed since then?
Hmm. Well, speaking of exploits, I don't know if we should talk about exploits, but well, we don't even know if leaderboards are gonna go get wiped. So, but
Yeah.
all right, people are exploiting anyway, so I guess I might
Hmm.
as well talk about it. Um, my clanmate just got the number one two-man team
Hmm.
for the server, Great Rift 50 two-man.
Hmm.
And do you want to know how he did it? It's it's actually not what people thought it was. Well, it is kind of what people figured was happening already, but it's an exploit. It definitely should be fixed.
Hmm.
It's wrong because all they had to do was get a barbarian to clear all the trash in the map,
Hmm.
right? While he's sitting in menus. And then once the barb gets the trash cleared, which is
Hmm.
super fast with the charge barb, the Rift Guardian spawns, in comes the Demon Hunter to kill the Rift Guardian.
Hmm.
That's how it's done. So 12, less than 12 minutes to clear Greater Rift 50.
And so it's still, working off of that exploit that people were using for the solo clears. It's just allowing people to jump in,
Actually,
join the game, and switch
that
around.
solo thing doesn't actually work.
Hmm.
After a lot of testing, um, it did work in PTR, but
Hmm.
the solo clear with like 4 people and everyone just ditches that guy,
Hmm.
that doesn't actually work anymore.
Okay.
So that's very strange. I don't know what happened to that thread that actually talked about it before the videos were all deleted.
Hmm.
But first, people have been trying it, and I have clanmates who have been testing it as well, and no one could replicate it. So I don't know. But yeah, exploits. Anyway, they exist, and people do exploit. So when I first made that post on the official forum calling for like a leaderboard wipe
Hmm.
and also reducing the RNG a little bit, um, I it's a lot of it's very divided, I think, because some people were saying, you need the RNG to keep it interesting,
Hmm.
while some people will say, well, if it's all RNG based, all you had to do is fish for that one rift, right? And it kind of ruins the whole point because it just depends on how much time you have on your hands
Hmm.
and how diligent you are and just restarting the game over and over and over and over again. And that's kind of what people are doing now. I mean, they collect a bunch of greater rift keys. Like say you want to do greater 40 on a character
Hmm.
to hit like top 50 for like something. And you get like, 20 greater rift 40 keys and you open one up, you see winged assassins, you leave. You don't like this rift, so you open up another one. You
Hmm.
got a Sirocco Caverns tile saying it's like, oh, well, if I die somewhere here, I'm going to restart this start and
Hmm.
I'm going to fail the rift. So I'm just going to restart this one and get a better map.
Yeah.
And it's it's dumb. I think it's like it's a very degenerate way of playing because you just kind of click like, nope, not this one, not this one, not this. Oh, conduit entrance. I think I'll do this one.
Mhm.
And for people to clear rifts that way, I don't know if that's really testing your player's ability.
Mhm.
So you might want to. I think people should consider. The devs should consider just tweaking the progress provided by the mobs a little bit more
Mhm.
and diversifying them throughout the rift instead of, it's not just all winged assassins and corrupted angels for one
Yeah.
level. Maybe it's winged assassins and some dust eaters here and some spiders all mixed and mashed up from like all 5 acts, not just a
Mhm.
theme, because there's a lot of theme levels right now that kind of ruin the experience.
Yeah. Especially when you come across one, it's all just the shadow demons.
Yeah, that's what I got today on my Demon Hunter when I was trying to do Greater Rift 42,
Mhm.
and all I got was Terror Demons and Gloom Rays, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, it's like crikey, you can't see anything, and then you don't get anything for completion when you're killing them. Kill
Yeah,
hundreds of the things and just not making any progress.
yeah. I mean, like some mobs, like those Gloom Rays, they provide 0.1% progress, right? You need
Mhm.
to kill 10 of them just to get 1%, and people usually just skip them. But as a Demon Hunter, you can't skip them, right? So you just kind of deal with it. But
Mhm.
yeah, they gotta tweak the RNG a little bit more. I like Greater Rifts, minus the exploits. I like what they are right now. I mean, it does give you that kind of like that rush when you're trying to chase the leaderboard, so it
Mhm.
does serve its purpose.
Mhm.
But a little more work can go into it, I think. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And who knows? Like a lot of people have been saying, and we've already said here on this podcast, season one and the Greater Rifts, it does definitely feel like it's a really big experiment. And that's something that the devs are just actively collecting feedback on. So
It is. It's. I mean, it shouldn't. It should come to no surprise. I mean, for people who thought it was just go completely flawlessly, like that's being really optimistic. I mean,
hmm
I don't know because when I went in there, I figured something was gonna quote unquote go wrong because you never know what the player base is going to do. You
oh,
never
of
know.
course.
So yeah, something is gonna happen and they're gonna have to fix it. So
hmm Yeah, and it's actually it's really from a certain aspect it's not that bad, even though it does feel kind of crappy that we're having this big long extended period of time, and when it comes down to it, it's almost kind of like it's beta testing for what greater rifts or seasons should be. But then on the other side of it, we know that this is not what we're stuck with because it is
yeah,
kind of a testing that they are taking feedback, they are working on progressing it and making it better, and so we'll have something hopefully better to look forward to in 2.2. Not just the exploits, but maybe some better balance tweaks for how they go through and they do rift completion for the mobs, or maybe they'll have a better algorithm for making sure that they have set types of mobs that will go through and spawn, so you have a better consistency. You might have like you have a certain amount of mobs that give a high amount of completion compared to the amount of mobs that you have with low completion to balance it out.
yeah, because it's off balance right now. Like some mobs take no effort to kill, like Dust Eaters, right? And they
hmm
offer so much progress, so it makes no sense compared to something like a Corrupted Angel.
Yeah.
So they need to balance it out.
hmm Ah. But also, kind of looking forward, are there any expectations that you have, like in 2.2 or future patches, or are there any big balance changes that you'd like to see for classes or maybe wizards in particular?
Wizards. Yeah, I actually recorded a video with my clanmates. We are all running Arcane Orb, right?
hmm
Good old Frozen Orb, Scorch, Spark, and we couldn't finish Greater of 29. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
So, and a lot of us are Paragon 700 and 600 plus.
hmm
So,
And this
and
this is like with your same gear that you're using and that you've gotten, solo past 40.
yeah, well, no, not the same gear, but
Oh,
I was using Frozen Orb because everyone loves Frozen Orb,
yeah.
and we want to see Frozen Orb work, but it doesn't.
hmm
So, and I have to say I think I can probably say to with confidence that almost 100% of the player base that
hmm
was at least active on the forum want to see Arcane Orb improved.
Well, it
whether
was.
it's by whether it's by the skill itself or just some kind of new legendary item that helps
mhm.
it make it awesome because it is terrible right now. It is probably one of the worst skills the wizard has in his arsenal, which is really sad. So
Yeah, I remember towards the end of Vanilla when there were some people that were doing the arcane power on crit arcane orb builds, that you had to get a certain number and you could just, spam it infinitely with a two-hander. It didn't compare to the CM builds, but it was something fun, alternative
Right.
that you could use to run through.
Right. Like right now, like there's a lot of fun gimmicky builds you could do
Hmm.
to like, clear T6 because sad to say T6 is like a joke right now for people who are geared up.
Oh yeah.
So so yeah, I really want to see Arcane Orb improved. It's looking at it, it's sad. It makes you sad if you're playing a wizard that you have this skill in your arsenal and you can't use it because it is terrible.
Hmm.
I might put out that video so people can see just how great Arcane Orb is.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I'll
And
figure that out.
you can have the Benny Hill theme playing as you go and attempt to clear through Greater Rift 29
Oh,
in
we're
four
thinking
player
about
group.
AC/DC's Big Balls. Yeah. We're
Oh,
thinking about that.
that is perfect.
Or Miley Cyrus's Wrecking
Wrecking
Ball
Ball,
instead.
yeah.
Yeah, playing in the background.
I
It's
will be
yeah.
looking forward to that.
Um,
Oh.
but in terms of wizards, Firebird should it's fine. Just
Hmm.
use that as a benchmark, saying in terms of power level, in terms of damage output, not the playstyle. The playstyle could be unique for a Firebird, but for every other build, if it's not the same playstyle, at least have it be capable of pushing out the similar amount of damage. Because then there's diversity that way. Because right now everyone's like fire, 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 everything fire. Can we get lightning or cold instead? And
Hmm.
it's not happening right now.
Um, do you like the way that the devs are kind of pushing class balance changes now? It almost seems that it's more focused on the items than it is the actual, class itself.
It is. It does seem to lean that way, and I mean you gotta start somewhere, right? Because before
Hmm.
2.1 is pretty the gap is pretty bad. So I mean you have these items now, and it brings the classes a little closer together. Minus the monks, but at least monks can clear T6 now, so you can do that.
Oh,
But
oh.
it always comes back to that, right? Like at least you could do this.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yay.
so at least you could do that now. So you can acquire gear at a reasonable pace. So they close the gaps a little bit that way. So in the future, I would like to see more like skill changes, like make skills a little more unique. Because right now it's just big damage, big nukes, big damage over time, and the developers did warn of this in the past, and the Blues posted on this that you can't just buff, buff, buff because of power creeps. And I mean, we
Hmm.
already see it now; it's already in effect. So introducing a few more items to complement specific class skills, like meticulous bolts for demon hunters for
Hmm.
specifically ball lightning. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's one specific rune of one specific skill. It's interesting because you're not going to use it for anything else.
Hmm.
So if
And
they have more skills that way,
yeah, and
do
that's
that.
actually interesting, at least for Demon Hunters, because at the beginning it wasn't viewed as being all that great. It wasn't viewed as being that powerful, and now it's one of the top. It's the primary item for one of the top builds, that are clearing those really high grade rifts.
Right. Yeah, and then wizards have, the magistrate, which is the frost hydra can freeze stuff, except, you know, CC kind of sucks when you don't need it. So
Hmm.
but they need more items like that that can tweak specific rules of specific skills, just so people who want the flavor of a build to be effective go that
Hmm.
route. So no one will be, not everybody will be running Firebirds. Not everybody will be running M6 Demon Hunters. So,
Hmm.
well, hopefully that'll be the case. The problem with M6 right now, I think, is whatever you buff for skills is gonna buff M6. So
Yeah, it's you have to be careful. You have to make it to where it's like on that point you can't like buff you can't buff it through skills. You have to have another item set
yeah.
that you can't also use M6 with
Hmm.
that would be comparable.
Yeah, exactly. So that's up to the devs. Again, it goes back to items, right? But
Hmm.
I guess minus demon hunters, every other class could use a little more skill tunes, right, for their spenders. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't have a solution, off the top of my head. I'm sure the devs who are getting paid to do this, they'll
Hmm.
have all their brainstorming sessions. They can figure something out. I mean, I trust them. So
Yeah, I mean they've gotten us this far, and they've made the game so much more enjoyable than it was in vanilla.
oh
So
yeah,
I
for
can,
sure. So
you know,
every time you figure, oh no, this is wrong. They could fix this. Just think back to vanilla.
yeah.
Think back to
It,
vanilla.
as we sit here on our golden thrones, in terms of playability and class balance, we look down and it's like, oh, it's not good enough. You
Yeah, just think back to vanilla. This is much better. So
know.
yeah.
Hmm. One of the questions I actually accidentally skipped over that I meant to ask at the beginning, we can actually kind of close out, make it, you know, go away from all the balance talk and stuff like that, and kind of make it a bit more personal in our closing here, is that you've been playing D3 from the beginning, and you've been kind of playing a wizard the whole time. What is it that made you like so drawn to the wizard? What is it that stood out that made you be like, that's my class?
Actually, when I first got D3, like I wasn't keeping track of. I wasn't in the beta. I
Hmm.
didn't play the beta. I didn't pay attention to the news about D3 like at all
Hmm.
prior to the launch day of D3, and basically it was on a whim. Like, oh, some of my friends are playing it. I guess I could go for a new PC game, so I bought it. And out of all my friends that were playing, like none of them are playing now. They all quit sometime during vanilla. They never came
Hmm.
back. But when we all first started out, everyone picked all their classes. I was the one left with the wizard
Oh.
because we all wanted to play a different one so we can,
Hmm.
share loot and whatever for different classes. And someone picked a demon hunter, someone picked a bard, the witch
Hmm.
doctor. I got stuck with the wizard, so I'm like, all right, I'll play the wizard then, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So that's interesting. That's how it all started.
Yep,
Just
I
you
had
picked a
no
short
choice but to play the wizard.
you picked a short straw and look at you now.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
And
I play all the classes. It's not, I
mhm.
mean, I go back to the wizard, but I do play all the classes.
Yeah, I remember the wizard was the second class that I got to 60 back in vanilla.
Demon
Uh,
Hunter was your first one?
Actually, it was monk.
Punk.
Yeah,
Hmm.
monk was my favorite back in vanilla, and I leveled up a wizard just because of how hard Inferno was. I couldn't do anything as a monk.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to level up a range class in order to do anything. At the time, wizard, was just ridiculously good. Even though I had gotten on it a little bit late, they had just nerfed the energy armor build.
I never got to do that. I cleared Inferno
Hmm.
pretty much like a week after they patched it in, so.
Hmm. Yeah, I had gotten it before they patched Inferno and before they nerfed Diablo, but after they had nerfed energy armor. Although
Yeah.
it was still ridiculously powerful, don't get me wrong, but just it wasn't as good as it was before that people had used it to, get the world first clears on Diablo Inferno. But yeah, that was just purely to get gear for my monk or to get gear to sell on the auction house so I could then afford to buy gear for my monk.
Oh yeah, those days. Yeah.
Yeah,
You should
don't
have
you
done what
just
I
love it?
did. Just employ one of your friends and have him run a barb and just have him run in front of you and he'll just take all the hits while you
Uh-huh.
DPS everything down. Yeah.
Uh,
That's what I did.
yeah, yeah. I think everybody did that at one
Like, here
point
you
or
go,
another.
barb, block for me.
Yep. We just run. I'll just pick up everything behind you.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah. So going from there, I mean, so you do play all the classes. Wizard, you constantly go back, to the wizard itself. Um, and that's kind of interesting. So you really had like you didn't even really know much about Diablo prior to the game coming out.
Nope. Yeah, even for D2, I played for like I want to say less than 100 hours total.
Hmm. Oh, you got to make some
Before.
enemies there.
Yeah, because when it first came out, like I was playing StarCraft and StarCraft Brood War. Like that's all I had time for back then. So I wasn't really having
Uh,
much time for Diablo
I'll
2.
forgive you. I'll forgive you for that one then.
Yeah, like Brood War was like the thing for me back then.
Hmm.
And when Warcraft 3 came out, like Frozen Throne, like I just, still no time to play Diablo and I
Hmm.
was more into the whole like multiplayer scene for like,
Yeah.
so like I know you could play multiplayer for D2, but it wasn't quite the same experience, right? You weren't like playing team versus team and stuff like that other
Yeah.
than
There
I don't
was
know, it's
no.
different. It was different. So
Yeah. Even though there was the ladder, there was no like competition. There was no competitiveness to it.
it's like it's a different form of multiplayer. So it
Hmm.
wasn't something that I resonated with and I just loved RTS games back then, so that's all
Hmm.
I played. And yeah, so like D3 came out and Wizard, I guess now that two and a half years later, like the Wizard is my favorite class. So
Hmm.
it's I don't know like what exactly it is that draws me to the Wizard. I guess it's just because I've been playing it for so long that
Uh-huh.
it's just I feel like obligated to keep playing the Wizard.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
feels unnatural to switch around.
Yeah, like um back before 2.1 where my wizard was pretty much maxed out. Like, I had the Wand of Woe going on, and
Mm-hmm.
that was it. There's nothing left for me to do on my wizard. So usually I would just play one, like my Witch Doctor for 500 shards worth of rifts, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'll gamble on my Witch Doctor, and I'll play my Bard for 500 shards of rifts and then gamble. Then my Crusader for 500 shards, and then I'll go back to the wizard. That's what I'll do over and over again each day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess going from there. Do you play hardcore much, or are you mainly softcore?
I'm mainly softcore. I treat hardcore the same reason that I don't have enough time to play seasons right now. Same
Mm-hmm.
reason. Just trying to min max my softcore characters first, non-season characters first, and hardcore is something again, just like for seasons, I play solo whenever there's no one on or
Mm-hmm.
everyone's busy with their own thing, and I'll solo my way for hardcore because for some reason I don't feel very comfortable playing in a group in hardcore, which is like the complete opposite of other people because they think
Yeah.
you have other people babysitting you, just in case you're lagging out, they can protect you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why. Like I just like to play hardcore solo. It feels like I'm in the world on my own, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
have to take care of myself. And if I get killed, that's my problem.
Yeah.
So, but
It,
yeah, my
it's
wizards.
kind. Sorry for cutting you off there, but it's kind of funny because that's how Leviathan plays. He actually prefers mainly to play solo or in like small groups. It's just how he prefers to play his hardcore. That's what it means to him.
Yeah, it's like you're on your own, in the wilderness, and you can only take care of yourself. So it feels it's a little more thrilling that way because you can't rely on anyone beside yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
my Paragon 88 wizard is sitting tight. She can do torment too. She'll be fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine. It's fine.
She'll be fine.
Well, if you ever find yourself, in hardcore seasons, definitely look us up over here at Westmarch Workshop. We'll definitely be down to play with you.
Power level me, and then I'll probably just be like, okay, all right, I'm good. I'll keep my wizard back in town, and she'll be safe forever.
We'll get you into Greater Rift 30 and put you to the limits there.
Yeah, I could barely get past Greater Rift 19 on my hardcore wizard right now.
it's
Yeah.
it's all about the experience. Even if you lose a couple characters, it's all about the experience.
I mean, my last two characters I lost in vanilla were because of intoxication, so I don't want to go there again. Yeah.
uh, yes, that definitely is a yeah. People warn you about drinking and driving. Drinking and playing hardcore. It is not a pleasant combination, and you will regret it in the morning.
You'll regret it later on after you realize, where's my hardcore character?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, that's all
Slain
coming
by
back later.
skeleton.
A white skeleton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happened to my hardcore barbarian in vanilla.
Hmm.
I got killed by the zombie in the very first beginning of the Act One.
What was it? I think one of my very first monks in the it says slain by unknown.
That's the
It,
worst. You don't even want
yeah.
to.
Although I remember what it is. It was the little seed bulbs from the wood wraiths in Act One. It's the little poison cloud that they leave on the
Oh,
ground. I wasn't paying attention, and I was just standing there while attacking, and then all of a sudden, dead. And then it just popped up, slain by unknown. So I have like a level 16 monk that just says that, and I'm keeping that in my Hall of Heroes because it's just slain by unknown. It's funny.
your deeds will not be remembered. You are
No,
forever anonymous.
you have no deeds to be remembered. All right. I think that kind of is wrapping us up here. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or anything you want to get off your chest?
Well, not that much. I mean, right now, I think most of us can just sit tight and wait and see what's coming up next. I think most of us are settled into 2.1 by now, so we're just enjoying the game, right? So see what's
Hmm.
coming up next.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward. Don't expect really anything else to come out in the next 2 weeks that we are until BlizzCon, and hopefully we'll get some nice new information. The floodgates will open back up as we, kind of are hopefully ending the or nearing the end of season one. Personally,
Yeah, one
personally, I
might
don't
feel longer.
yeah. Personally, I don't expect season one to end until January or February.
Oh, I'm hoping it'll
Yeah.
end like at the end of the year, like after BlizzCon, it'll be like, oh yeah, well, you guys have like another month and a half, and then
Yeah, it's just for me, I guess I expect them that after like when the season ends, we'll just have a couple weeks and then the next season will begin, that there won't really be any like significant length of time in between seasons.
That'll be
And
nice. Yeah.
yeah, and just the end of the year is always a weird time for Blizzard, kind of, from Thanksgiving until like the first week in January. A lot of the development teams, are on vacation. They take
Yep.
breaks. And so you don't see that much besides WoW expansions get pushed during that time frame.
Ah, right. That is true. World's Arena is coming out, so I think a lot. Well, not. I don't know, but I
Mhm.
think plenty of D3 people will be split between that because I know there are a lot of WoW players who split time with D3.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that they've ever really, one game's release has ever impacted the other games too much. I just don't, during that time frame, I don't really see them doing anything big, ending the season or anything like that until we get into the new year.
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds logical.
Yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. But yeah, well, thank you very much for joining us here tonight.
No, it was great to be here. A lot of fun.
Yeah, and even though we have it in the little overlay here, tell people where they can follow you.
You can find me. Your best bet will probably be the official forum. I'm usually on the Wizard official forum. Otherwise, you can probably find me hanging around the other class forums. Also, I'll periodically drop by also the general forum. And you can find me on Twitter. You can follow me at JAETCH. And I have a YouTube channel. You can follow me there too. Just look up JH on YouTube and I'll probably be the first one that shows up. I don't think there's any other JHs out there. And my clan recently put up a website called visgericlan.com. So you can probably find me there too. I spend a lot of time helping build up that website now. So I spend a lot of time there throughout the day.
Awesome, awesome. I love the little lore connotations there for the Viserai clan.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun writing a blog post about that too.
Hmm. That is awesome. So awesome. But yes, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us here. And, everybody, you can always follow the show. We're on YouTube, on Archon's channel, at Archon the Wizard, or Inferno Archon, sorry. And then you can always find me on Twitter at Neinball Gamer. Our other co-hosts that weren't able to join us tonight, you can find them at SA Stewart 11 and at Archon the Wizard on Twitter. And always you can find us, on iTunes and Stitcher. Just do a search for Westmarch Workshop. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.